Hey, this is Ian Westerman. I'm the head pro at EssentialTennis.com, where it's my mission to bring passionate instruction to passionate players just like you. Welcome to episode number 37 of Ask Ian. Today we're going to be answering a question from Nacho in Argentina, who wrote to me and said, do you have any videos on how to deal with your mind in those games that are critical? I keep losing matches I know I should win because I know I'm a bit of a better player than my opponents. I don't know, it's like I'm playing under a lot of pressure, so I start missing shots all over the place when I know, in fact, it shouldn't be the case, as I know that my tennis is better. And then he adds, I hope you understand I'm not being cocky here. I never get angry when I lose against somebody who's better than me, but when I know I can win, it just pisses me off so much. I just can't stand it. All right, this is a great topic. I'm actually looking forward to talking about this because I feel like it's a pretty common issue that a lot of tennis players have. And there's a lot of tennis players, I think because it's an individual, it's a very personalized sport. You go out there, it's mano a mano, it's just you versus your opponents. There's a lot of times kind of attitudes that get built up on the tennis court. And I'm not pointing this out. I'm not pointing a finger at Nacho specifically. It's just something that I've noticed throughout my competitive career as a tennis player, and I'm sure those of you who've been around the sport for any length of time completely know what I'm talking about. So how do we deal with this frustration of losing to somebody who you think that you are better than? Listen, let's just be honest here. This is something we all have to deal with, all right? I don't care if you're Roger Federer or if you are me or if you're a 3.0 player just starting off. You will always there will always be cases where you sometimes lose to players that you think you're stronger than. So how do we deal with the anxiety and the pressure? Nacho talked about the pressure that comes along with this. Well, first of all, we need to address this attitude of saying that I know I'm better. Tennis is an unbelievably complex and nuanced sport. You cannot go just based on whose strokes are prettier. We all know that based on experience. Frequently, the player with the uglier strokes wins the match. So how do you really objectively say who is the better player? Well, you kind of have to go based on head-to-head record. All right, well, who wins? I don't care what your strokes look like. Can you execute them well enough at a high enough level, consistently enough to beat X, Y, or Z player? If you can't, then are you truly a better player? In my honest and humble opinion, no, I don't think you are if you can't actually win the match. So on that particular day against that particular player, in that particular match, you were not the better player, okay? I mean, we're just going based on what happened. This is the black and white truth of the matter, is they were a better player than you were that match. Now, if we take an average, of your last 20 matches and their 20 matches, and do head-to-head, opponent analysis, could you maybe technically on paper be the better player? Sure, maybe, but does that matter? No, it doesn't make any difference at all. Being able to execute in that moment is all that really matters. And none of that was actually on my outline. I'm getting off track here, but this is something I actually feel really strongly about because so many players have this kind of attitude. Now, Nacho, when you have that kind of attitude and you go into a match saying, I'm the better player, well, of course you feel pressure. Yeah. When you double fault or you miss that sitter forehand on game points, to lose the game or whatever, and you had gone into this match saying, well, I'm the better player, and so I should win, and you make that mistake, of course you feel pressure, because now there's this, that statement, I'm the better player, is at odds with the reality of what just happened. Well, if I'm the better player, why did I just double fault? Why did I just miss that shot? If I'm the better player, why did they just hit a screaming winner down the line that hit the line to break me to go up 5-3 in the second set, right? When there's a disconnect between what we think, what we assume, and what's actually happening, that's when we start to have that pressure and we start to have that anxiety. And it all stems off of that attitude going into the match of, oh, well, I'm the better player. So how do we avoid this? Stop having an attitude like that. And I'm probably sounding like I'm coming down a little hard on Nacho here, but quite frankly, I'm really happy that he asked this question, because it's something that I've been wanting to talk about and kind of get off my chest a little bit for a while, because again, this is just really a really common thing. So rather than thinking about the big picture and saying, well, I'm ranked such and such higher than this player, or I'm rated, however much NTRP higher, or I just crushed a similar opponent that we had in common and they just lost to that opponent. You have all these big picture things in mind. When the little details don't go according to plan, that's when we start to have this anxiety and this pressure. So you should flip this, and you should instead be focusing exclusively on just execution. Focus on what it takes, that being concentration, footwork, intensity, controlling your emotional state, picking good, smart targets, playing high percentage, paying attention to your opponent, picking out their strengths and weaknesses, and coming up with a winning game plan. These are all the details that ultimately you control and do have a big impact on the outcome of the match. If instead what's going on in your head is, what if I lose? Big picture. I'm the better player. What's happening here? Big picture. They aren't as good as me. These are all very general, broad statements that do absolutely nothing to actually help us compete and actually help us execute and actually win a match. So you need to flip your focus, Nacho, and start thinking and focusing on the details that you do control. Ultimately, you don't control completely who wins and loses each individual match. Even if you focus perfectly and you execute to the best of your ability, your opponent could also have the best match of his or her life and still beat you. At the end of the day, you don't directly control how your opponent executes. So why even worry yourself and clutter up your mind with all those big picture kind of ideas or concepts, such as who is better, who is worse, etc. So focus on the little things. Let the outcome take care of itself. And if the outcome happens to be that you lose, that's part of tennis. You will lose matches. Whether or not you think you were the better player, well, on that particular day, you were not. The best thing you can do is take away lessons from that particular match, decide what you need to work on, and continue focusing on the process of improvement. I could go on and on about this, but we'll stop there. Nacho, hopefully that was helpful to you. This takes a little bit of practice to kind of switch your focus and your mindset a little bit. But when you do, I promise you, it'll take almost all the pressure off of you, and you'll be able to freely just swing at the ball and let the outcome, be whatever it happens to be on that particular day, without putting all that pressure on yourself. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you've tuned in today and you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor and click like if you've enjoyed this video. Also, question of the day here on YouTube, non-tennis related question. Simple question: what is your favorite movie of all time? I'm curious what kind of viewers I have here on YouTube, and this is one of my favorite general questions to ask people. Kind of, I think, gives a lot of insight into personality and personality. What type of cinema somebody enjoys. So leave your answer to the question of the day down below. Also, if you have any general comments or questions related to what we talked about today or anything else tennis related, leave those down below as well. Maybe I'll use your question in a future episode of Ask Ian. Until then, be sure to subscribe to the Essential Tennis YouTube channel so you don't miss out on future videos. Tons of stuff that we're constantly publishing. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and good luck with your tennis.